Welcome to another tour of the face. Today we will be shaving with Rapira. Don't know the second word there. Pon something pa. If that's Cyrillic Russian, then the letters are all weirded out anyway. And then it says Swedish Supersteel, so maybe that's not Russian. But this one was interesting. It came in 2 layers of paper. Haven't had one like that before. And also note here, the manufacturer specifically says do not wipe the blade. I pat mine after each use because I always move it from one razor to another, because right now I have so many razors to evaluate, not for any use other than my own. But that is the razor. I'm sorry, that's the blade. The razor I'll be using is the Parker 98R heavy duty. It is a 3-piece. Unscrews here. Handle is 1 piece. Bottom part of the head is another. Top part of the head is the other. Blade is already in. The soap we'll be using is Chiseled Face Midnight Stag. Can you see? This might give you a chance to see the ingredients if you feel like it. Otherwise, you can look it up in some other format, some other medium. 4 ounces, and it smells and looks very interesting. The color kind of turned on you there, but at first when it came up where it was kind of yellow and brown, yeah, see, when my t-shirt is here, it white balances on my t-shirt, and so that color is about right. But then when this is up, the only thing, it starts to white balance that, but it's kind of a yellowish brown color. When I first smelled it, it smelled like I just opened a can of tennis balls. It's what immediately hit my head when I smelled it. And but you can start to smell the leather, the motor oil, tar, a little bit of gasoline, and I think I can smell the cedar in there. That's in the ingredients list. Those were the ones that I was able to discern. Now, whether it's the power of suggestion that's making me think those things because I saw it in the description, or whether, I'm sure they're in there. I'm sure they're in the fragrance. But, my first, without reading what it was supposed to smell like, kind of the rubbery smell of a brand new, freshly, remember, I don't know if they do that these days, but 20 years ago, you would take a can of tennis balls, and you'd peel the thing up, and you'd hear that vacuum, and you'd instantly smell that rubber and the kind of a synthetic type fragrance come up. So in that sense, it kind of brings back memories. Probably a fragrance not for the faint of heart, and I think that's what they have in their write-up. It can be pressed with it's not totally hard. It can be pressed and manipulated with your fingers. All right, I have, so that's the soap, the razor, and the blade. The brush that I'll be using today is a 24 millimeter silver tip Badger black resin handle from Whipped Dog. I really like it so far. I've had it for maybe a month. I have shaken almost all the water out of it that I can. Normally I like to use distilled water because I know that will give me a really nice lather. I didn't bring any with me today, so this is tap water. I believe it's fairly hard, so we'll see. Just see what happens. This is my first time with this, actually with any Chiseled Face product. This is my first time with this fragrance and their brand as well. So let's start by whipping this thing up, loading the brush, and just seeing what happens. I really like some of the fragrances I saw on the Chiseled Face Amazon page. when I did a search for chiseled face stuff. Ordered a couple, and also I looked at the at their own website. They have a sampler feature where for a couple bucks, maybe $2, can't remember. I think maybe $2 a sample, and I think he said on the site it says maybe 6 or 8 shaves is how much the sample gives you. That's pretty cool. Wow, that looks like it loaded up kind of quickly. I'm going to assume that's plenty of lather. That actually happened fairly fast. I'm afraid my light is kind of way above me, so you'll get a really good view of my forehead today. And there, that's what it looks like after we load this little guy up. Very interesting smell. Yeah, manly. I think so, very much. Yesterday, I used Rose from Taylorville Bond Street. So I'm glad I'm swinging back this way. I used it, probably never use Rose again, but I wanted to say that I'd given it a shot just to see if there was something, because apparently a lot of these old classic shaving fragrances are very floral and very soapy, and so I wanted to try that out. Now, as for shaving bowl, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water to my bowl here. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more. I know I'm going to need it. Okay. We're going to start off slow to let this water give this water a chance to not splash out, get into the soap. So, chiseled face. Crank it up here. Crank it up, work it out, grind on it. Can use all kinds of euphemisms on this. We've got some lather building already. That's pretty cool. Maybe this particular soap is very tolerant of hard water. I'll have to check and see what the water is around here and see if I'm dealing with fairly soft water or hard water. I think it's fairly hard. We're already getting some good stuff. Nice. The razor blade that we're using today, the what is it, Rapira? Yeah, Rapira. I've heard mentioned on many of the other YouTubers who like to video their shaving and assume that everybody wants to watch it. It's pretty much what I'm doing too. I've heard a few of them use Rapira. I had never had a chance to use that one. I got it in a sampler, so we will see. Yeah, we got some peaks already. Now, here's an interesting thing. I'm trying to decide what kind of bowl shape to use. I got this one at the Dollar Tree. It's actually a dog bowl. I'm kind of liking it. Definitely have some peaks going on there. Nice thick lather. If I wanted to get more of it, I could probably add a little bit of water. With this shape of bowl, as you can see, it's kind of square sides where there's a corner in the bowl, you know. Whenever the lather starts to go off the side, I find for you new guys, this may be information. For you old guys, you can tune out for a second. But if it's toward the edge, if I wipe over toward the edge, you'll notice it kind of just lifts straight up instead of flowing over the side. And so that's a good way just to kind of manage and move the soap around. You're not actually going to push it off the side, at least with this shape of bowl. You know, no, you know what? I'm not going to add any more water because this is plenty of cream for 3 passes and more. And if I add more water, it won't be as thick. And let's just, oh man, I've got so many peaks. Things like that going on here. Beautiful. Do I have a sheen? See, I'm an old man. I have to hold it away from me. a little bit. It's kind of a matte, not really a sheen too much. It could be the water being a little soft. Look at that. That is some nice body to it. Now, yeah, that's very important. The smell, as I've been describing to you so far, has been from the jar, which, as we all know, is often very different from what you get on your face or you get in the bowl. So let's just take a whip of the bowl here. It's much less strong here in the bowl. And I think I find that's usually the case. I think I am getting a little bit more of a sheen now. Yeah, amazing. It's much lighter. Actually, it's much more kind of pleasing in the bowl here than it was in the jar. Much more concentrated, kind of more industrial or chemical in the jar. And so, nice. We have got a ton of lather. And you saw me. I did not load that thing for a whole lot. This is also a Badger brush, silver tip. And so it's not a bore. It's not a rigid brush that's going to really grind in there and stir up a whole lot of soap. So kudos to these guys at Chiseled Face for putting out now the sheen is developing a little bit more, but that is a ton of nice, good looking soap. If you'd have asked me 35 years ago if I would be sitting here recording on my smartphone, which didn't exist, of course, back then, a video to be put on the internet about shaving, about wet shaving, I would have said no on so many levels. I mean, here's the funny thing. It's actually kind of fun working this soap. I almost don't want to quit because it looks so good, but I am homogenizing it, just making sure that it's all kind of the same consistency, and I think we've done that. That is a ton of good looking lather. Another thing, here's a little question for any of you out there who would land on this video. I think this might be the perfect shaving bowl for me. I like to bowl lather, and this will hold a lot of lather. Once you get it going, this will got plenty of space to hold it. Mix it around, move it around. I really like that. But I could get faster lather, I think, if I put some speed bumps in here. Those textured shaving lathering bowls that you've seen. I wonder what I could put in on the bottom, if anything. I was thinking maybe some sugru, but I don't know if that would stick. I don't know about the toxic properties of that as well. If there's anything I could put, if I could put on the bottom, like maybe some epoxy resin, to let it set up and kind of make speed bumps on the bottom. And I believe that my lather generation time would probably be cut in half with careful, intelligent application of something like that. Yeah, so this is a manly fragrance. Now I am on a trip right now, and so I've got 3 or 4 nights of shaving, and so I'm kind of portable. And what I did was I brought my Chiseled Face fragrances and creams. My other one that I have is the Sherlock, which this one kind of made me wonder whether I would like it or not, the Midnight Stag. This one, from the description, as well as when I smelled it out of the jar, smelled really, really good. One of those where you just know you're going to like it. So enjoy it, keep it, have it. And so I brought these 2 with me for this trip. And I'm doing the Midnight Stag first because, it's very possible that this particular fragrance might benefit from a second opinion like the next day. so that some, you know how odors happen, how they smell one day one way at first, and then the next day you appreciate something different about them. And this might be that kind of fragrance, and so that's why I'm using it first. Very nice. Okay. My first time with Chiseled Face. First time with Rapira. This is one of my favorite razors. 98R from Parker. 98R from Parker. HD for heavyweight. Heavy. I don't think it's heavy duty. I mean, just heavy. All right. Get my face wet. I don't really do any kind of pre-shave. Maybe someday I'll start, I don't know. Wow. That is, when I just laid it on like that, I could just feel the thickness. That's a nice, seems to be a nice soap. I'm going to use words like seems to be a lot because I've only been wet shaving for a year or two, and I've only been using this kind of product for 5 months, something like that. Started with the Taylor of Old Bond Street. Got me some Sella, love the Sella. Perazzo Red, love that smell. I love how cheap it is, but to be honest with you, sometimes when it's out on the, most of the time when it's out on the counter, I'll pick that guy up, pop that top off, take a big whiff of that. I really like that sandalwood. Wish Taylor, Old Bond Street, would have a sandalwood that was kind of, had sandalwood as an actual primary ingredient that was dominant, where in my opinion their sandalwood just does not. It's a hint of an ingredient instead of a forefront player. This feels nice and thick. It's going to be so interesting to see how the blade, the razor slides across. Well, I am liking this cream so far. Wet my razor. Again, this is with hard water, so that's a good note. This guy lathers up super well, even in hard water. So I got a feeling in soft water or distilled water, you'd be in even better shape. Just about a day's growth on my face. Here's an interesting little trivia question for you. Every wet shaving video that I've seen that has used a heavy razor, what do they tell you? Every one of them say, use very little pressure, let the weight of the head, let the weight of the razor do the work for you. Think about it. Here I am right here. Where's all the weight going? Straight down. Here I am right here. Where's all the weight going? Straight down away from my neck. So that really doesn't make too much sense. It makes sense if I'm shaving like this and I'm kind of dragging it across my face like that. So, for what it's worth. So yeah, you do have to provide a little bit of pressure, and I do love the heavyweights. I don't know, they just feel good. Let's see how that razor did. think did well. In terms of slickness, I would say it's about a 6 or a 7 out of 10. But also remember, I'm a kind of a noob when it comes to talking about slickness. But when I felt my face just now, underneath the water, underneath the layer of water, I felt the lubrication on my skin. Cream is still very, it feels like I'm putting a layer of something on my skin, you know? And feels like it's got insulative properties. So that's good. I like to lay it on thick. Means I do a lot more brush washing, but hey, I feel like I'm kind of getting my money's worth when I got a lot of that stuff on my face. And let's rinse this guy out again. So this is the Rapira blade. In terms of comfort, the first pass, you probably heard some of the feedback. I felt no irritation. I didn't feel any pulling. Felt good. It didn't feel smooth, but that's the first pass. That's kind of the way it's supposed to do. I like it. I like it. Let's see what it does. First pass. My first impression of it is that it's not a feather. It's not one of those top tiers. That's just my first impression. We'll see what the second pass looks like. Yeah. My face feels good underneath this cream. It feels like it's helping my skin out. No irritation. My face doesn't feel dry. So that's good. Cross grain pass. And I haven't done any research about the Rapiras. So I'm coming in like a newbie with these guys. I don't know whether they are top notch and to be revered, or whether they're a good, budget blade. One of the middle of the road ones that's just always a good option. Well, on this side over here, I forgot to do the cross grain. Get back to that. This is my sensitive area right in here. See how it feels across the grain doing that. I believe this razor is a little bit more on the aggressive, mildly medium in terms of aggressive. I'm also generally using the parallel method, where you start parallel and then raise until you start feeling it cut well, rather than the other way of coming in from the outside. All right, let's see how this feels. Don't feel any irritation right now, so that's cool. Now that time with got a little sink countertop maintenance to do right here. All right. That time I felt a little bit less slickness on my face. afterwards as I was rinsing off. The cut feels very good. I don't feel any irritation, even in the areas down here. Let's just take a look in the mirror. Still plenty of hairs in this trouble area that I'll have to get with another cross grain run. I think that'll be a good test of this blade. See what it does when it makes that attempt. In case I get any bleeders, I've got my alum block here to come to the rescue. Face is moist, ready for the next pass. Yeah, nice looking lather. Okay, so first of all, pretty pleased with this cream, the shaving soap. They say you don't have to scrub too hard on the second and third passes. This silver tip badger brush feels like I'm rubbing little baby puppies all over my face. Nice jump from the pure badger I was using for many months. I don't think it's going to give you any better shave, but the comfort's there. Pay a little extra for many years of nice comfortable shave. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. All right, going the other direction, a cross grain. My skin is probably a little too sensitive. To brave the against the grain pass. Pretty sure I'd end up with a lot of irritation, razor burn. Hard water. Okay, so now, so just for your information, my hair in the cheeks, it just goes straight down, both sides. Over here, it starts to curve in this way and head toward this spot right here. And up here, as it curves, as it makes the hump, it curves forward just a hair and then pulls another S curve to end up back at this spot. And then right down here, it's kind of horizontal as it heads toward this spot over here. So when I do a straight down shave like this, up here it's actually with the grain, but as it gets to about right here, it's across the grain. Kind of irritating. Wish it'd be nicer if it was all one way, right? All right, so I'm going to focus on that forest of really hard to cut down saplings. Call them my problem neck hairs. Let's see, and then this guy, I'll come from up here. Back here. With this soap, I don't feel like I have the protection. I may, but I don't feel like I have the protection to go back over an area that doesn't have soap on it, or at least hasn't had soap on it for a minute or so. I feel like I'm fine if the lather was just taken off of it. But if it's been off for a little bit, has a chance to dry, I don't feel comfortable enough right now. And I don't have any bleeders or anything like that. All right, let me check my little neck forest. I'm happy with that. There's a few there. Okay, now, So it did not get some of the ones right here. The ones up here took care of them. This is the worst little group right here of infidels. You know what? Let's do one little swipe, a targeted attack. Normally I would stop, but since I'm an analytical person, my personality also likes to share my knowledge. That's why I'm making these videos. I'm not trying to become some well-known shave person. What I am hoping is that every once in a while, someone might be searching for Rapira, and they might be searching for Chiseled Face, and they might be searching for a Parker 98R, and now they have a video that gives them a little bit of information about all those in one. So maybe that'll help some people to make some good choices, have some good experiences. It's kind of fun to do anyway, right? I guess I don't have that fear of public speaking thing. Now, I'm going to find that problem area, put a little dab on there so that I know exactly the area I'm dealing with. Sometimes I know the area, and then when I put the big swath over my whole face, I just kind of forget where the nasties are. But now I've got them. All right, I'll pull that face over. So what this is testing, this would be a fourth pass over this area. What this is testing is, will this blade cause irritation in a medium aggressive razor? Will this cream protect me? So that's what we're looking at here. Trying to be careful. I'm also a cold water shaver. Don't do the hot thing. I don't want to wait for the stuff to get warm. I think that looks really good. It's a little hard to see because of the sheen of the water, so we'll wait and check that again in a minute. If that would have failed, if that would have caused me irritation, I may not have known which thing was the culprit, whether it was the soap or the aggression of the razor or the blade. I wouldn't have known. But if it was a success, which it seems like it was, then we can kind of praise all of them together. So let's do some rinsing. Well, let's check my other spots just before I close down the shop here. I'm happy. I'm happy with that. So I like the Rapira. Doesn't seem to be feather sharp. I could be wrong. But it doesn't seem to be feather sharp. But it does seem to go in that category with a lot of good blades that are just really sharp and that will do the job. Probably more on the budget. A little bit better for your budget than feather and Kai. I'm liking it. Yeah, no irritation. Nothing bad feeling down here in that area I went over 4 times. This existed before. Don't know what it is. It's so funny. I'll watch these shave videos and all of a sudden it hits me. I'm sitting in front of a computer watching a guy touch his face in an analytical way. I get a kick out of that sometimes. So again, what we are using is Midnight Stag from Chiseled Face, and I'm super happy with it. I am rinsed enough. I don't do the alum block at the end. I don't do the astringent witch hazel. I might bring that into my At some point I will also add a pre-shave oil probably to help. I understand that it will help with this the neck issue down here. But I started testing blades and razors without the oil because I didn't know enough about it. And so I feel like if I'm going to keep testing, I want to keep as many variables consistent as possible until I finish with my evaluating the different blades so I know which ones are my favorites. Then I'll bring in the oil, see if I get better results, things like that. So I didn't really smell the fragrance as I was shaving too much. It's light. You wouldn't tell it by smelling the jar. I really like it because of that. It's not obnoxious. It's not going to knock you over. They kind of make you think it will from that description they have on their website. Maybe my nose has gotten used to it. Oh, hey, here's a tip. Many years ago, I went to a fragrance class for a company I was working with. And they mentioned how if you are evaluating fragrances and your nose can definitely get overwhelmed and it just quits smelling fragrances, after a little while, after not too long, you will not be able to accurately smell things. And so have some coffee beans nearby, some ground up coffee grounds. That is a good fragrance to neutralize what's already in your nose, give you a better chance to start over and be able to smell things if you're maybe got several different shaving soaps that you're working on with different fragrances. I like this one. I like it. I'm not one for apparently the Italian barbershop scent. It's very floral and soapy. I apparently don't like that very much. I appreciate the heritage. Love Macella, which kind of comes from that heritage, but it's an almond marzipan. Mascarpone. Can't remember which one it is. Kind of flavor, fragrance, and I really like that one, sweet one. But as far as the fragrances goes, I prefer ones like Sherlock, Midnight Stag, and like Tuscan Oud is another one I'm going to try soon by Razor Rock, I think it is. That one seemed very cool. All right. We're going to put on a little bit of the Nivea post-shave balm, sensitive. So if you're evaluating a lot of fragrances, have some coffee grounds or coffee beans handy. Smell those in between fragrances. That'll help you do better evaluations. I'm not feeling any irritation areas. So these guys is that a not? He's fine. Not feeling any problems at all. Sometimes I feel like I have to go slow because I agitate my skin with the application of the balm. You can put on more and it's better, but now right now I'm having no problem. I could see. Usually I can't do this. Go back and forth against the grain with it. So that's a great combo of equipment. I like that a lot. So in terms of the fragrance of the Midnight Stag, the leather, the oil, the tar, gas, cedar, those are all fragrances that are listed in the description that I believe I can perceive in there. You might be able to pick out more of them. It says there's vanilla and bergamot. I have no idea what bergamot smells like, so maybe that's there and I can't smell it, or I can't identify it. I'll have to look that one up. That's apparently a popular fragrance. Chiseled face. Here's the tub, 4-ounce tub. White on the bottom, black on the top. Looks like it'd be good for keeping other items available once you use that tub up. Parker 98 R 3-piece And I started out with a butterfly like most people, but once I got this kind of head, the 2-piece or 3-piece head, it just seems like the right piece of equipment for the job. You know, it just seems more manly to me. And maybe that's also why I don't really care for my Merkur 24C, the kind of that little guy that everybody loves. And that's okay, because he's a good razor. And I like the fact that you can hold him with just a couple of fingers and really manipulate. And he's a good, stable, mild razor that's just a solid performer. But to me, I'm a tall guy with big hands, and having that little razor in there is kind of, it is the opposite of Midnight Stag. Let's put it that way. It's the opposite of manly fragrance, to me, in my opinion. It's my feel. When you shave, it's all about how you feel, the experience. So I make it part of how I do. Maybe it's okay if it's part of yours. Hey, I'm not hating. So enjoyed the Rapira. I really did. That's a good one. Nice. No need. I don't think there'd be any need for the alum block to seal up anything, even if I did need it. So that's a good set of equipment. Feel free to jump in there and put that set to the test. I think tomorrow I will try a more mild razor with the Rapira and then a different fragrance. But I'm also looking forward to trying the Midnight Star again. After you've got it in your nose, try the next day, you may smell something different in it. Do I smell it right now? Kind of. But again, it was in the bowl. It's very light. As you can see, I still have tons of cream still available. It's drying out just a hair, but I've been talking for 42 minutes now. So it's supposed to dry out, I guess. Water's not forever. All right. Thanks for listening to me drone on. I hope it's been helpful. Thanks a lot. Take care.